So let me just repeat your question back to you, Dan, to make sure I understand it properly. You bought an item from an online retailer who you spend a lot of money with. The item didn't show up. They weren't interested. You got your money back from the bank, presumably with a chargeback claim. And now the retailer's saying that they're not prepared to deal with you or sell you anything anymore, but they haven't given you a reason and you're waiting for a subject access request.
Correct.
Okay. The short answer is that they are allowed to refuse to sell you products with a couple of exceptions that I'll come to in just a moment. In the same way that if I wanted to buy your car from you, Dan, and you said, no, I don't want to sell it to you, Daniel, you're under no legal obligation to sell me anything. Any online retailer isn't under any legal obligation to sell you or indeed anybody anything. Obviously, it's in their commercial interest to sell as much as they can to as many people as they can, but they are legally entitled to say, actually, Dan, we don't want to sell to you anymore. Now, there are a couple of exceptions, but it's broadly if the reason they're refusing to sell to you is because you've got a protected characteristic and they're refusing to sell because of that protected characteristic. So they're refusing to sell to you because you're a man, because you're from a minority ethnic group, because you're of a particular religion, because you're gay. It could be any of those protected characteristics. But it doesn't sound like that's the case here, Dan, because they did sell to you until you complained. It's the complaint that's triggered this problem, and that's not a reason that is unlawful for them to use to refuse to sell to you. Can I give you a very common sense piece of advice? Why don't you open a new account with a different email address?
What they've done is my account, my credit card account is my name, that they've, I think, put it into some sort of blacklist. But if and basically
really?
when I put my account,
different email, different credit cards. If you have to use a VPN, how would they ever know?
Well, I'll give it a try. But if I knew this was going to happen, I would have just take it on a chin and then leave the claim. But there's got
to be something other, Dan. There's got to be something other than you just doing a chargeback claim. There's got to be something else because lots of people.
And that is it, because I didn't have any other problem with that at all.
Okay.
That was the reason why.
Anyway, the answer to your question, Dan, is it's not unlawful. It's not illegal. Legally, nothing you can do. I'm sorry. They sound like idiots. You sound like a nice bloke.